Hello and welcome to EKU Online's eCast series. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We have a panel of 3 online sport management program faculty with us. Dr. Joe Cormier is the online program coordinator and teaches a host of courses dealing with marketing, finance, and law. His other claim to fame is his beloved dog Marcus, who is a constant companion. Dr. Wardell Johnson is a native of Mississippi. He is an associate professor in the department and has been teaching for EKU for nearly 2 decades and focuses on student athletes' welfare. Dr. Heather Adams is a professor and serves as the graduate coordinator. She is a former collegiate athlete herself, having played softball and basketball at Transylvania University. Thank you to all 3 of you for your time today. And many thanks for teaching in this relatively new and exciting online bachelor's degree program. Dr. Cormier, we'll start with you. You are the online coordinator for the sport management program, a relatively new way to deliver this bachelor's degree. Can you please tell us a little bit about the program and the students who are taking it?
First of all, I'd really like to thank the eCampus for doing this. In particular, also just thinking about some of the other people behind the scenes, Lindsay Greenwell, Stephanie Black, Megan Woolridge, along with some of our great course designers, Jennifer Perkins, Cindy Hawkins. They're incredible people. You know, sport management was already a successful program, and we decided to put it towards an eCampus version of it. Sport management, of course, you know, when you look at it by definition, it's applying business and administration to the study of sport. But as you're going to discover as these questions get presented to yourself, it's beyond the marketing, the law, the psychology. It is also the social issues aspects of it. The type of students we're getting, first of all, all 3 of us, we just love our kids. That's what's great about having the faculty that I have here that are with me today. We love them all. Whether it's our traditional kids that come, you know, from our service region of Appalachia, our athletes that come in from out of state in some cases, but also with our non-traditional learner that's in our eCampus program. I mean, I just see where they come from and their backgrounds. And what I think is interesting about our non-traditional students are coming through eCampus is they take a lot of their classes during, well, evenings and weekends, right? Because that's when they're free. Yep, that's what's great. That's what sport management is. It is a weeknight, weekend thing. So they seem to fit in right way. I'll only say they come in with such great experiences, and I have some really fun conversations with them. They come with such interesting backgrounds, all of them.
Very good, thank you. Dr. Adams, 2020 has been a very unusual year. How has the psyche of fans been affected during the pandemic? I mean, have we lost them forever, or are they chomping at the bits for live sports?
Well, you know, Stephen, in our culture, sports is more than just entertainment and capital. Sports, you know, a lot of times in our culture, it is a connection. It is a place where we can see hope. It's a place where we can see diversity. It's a place where we can belong. And you can see that by fandom and so forth. And I don't think we've lost the fans. You know, you look back into March and you look at The Last Dance, the documentary on ESPN, and it was the most viewed documentary. People were just yearning for a connection with sport. You look at the WNBA and the highest TV ratings that they'd had in 8 years when they came back. Now, TV ratings overall have been down a little bit, and but I just think that there is some apprehension about going to live sports, but watching it, I still think that's a huge part of our culture. It's an important part of the psyche, and it's an important part of the esteem and success of our, of our country.
What do you think, as a follow-up question to that,
Yep.
What do you think, are the fans replacing their love for sport with something else right now, or are they just hanging out and waiting for something to pop back up?
Well, I don't know that we can exactly answer that question in the short term. I think that you saw, the influx of exercise and of doing things with family and community But as people have gotten back into work, as they have gone back into school, I think that we will see the uprise again once we are safe, once we know that our athletes are safe. I think that we will be back on the trajectory of using sport as a tool and a positive outlet for fans and for athletes alike.
Good, thank you. Well, Dr. Johnson, EKU seems intent on having fall sports, even participating in football games, while other major conferences are canceling their respective seasons. In your opinion, why is it so important for EKU to continue on this path?
Well, like so many other schools, many schools have made a decision that they're going to go forward with their sport or not for a lot of different reasons. And I think the area that individuals are from and how their particular areas are impacted by this pandemic. I think that I hope that the individuals that made the decision to move forward with playing sport did so in talking with the medical professionals, did so in talking with the student athletes, and let the student athletes' welfare be at the forefront of any and all decisions that they make. And not just EKU, but any school, because if we make the wrong decision, it could cause lives. And that's what no one wants. But I think that knowing what I know about the EKU athletic department, they discussed this issue long and hard and made a decision based on factual information, especially from the medical community.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Cormier, I'm shifting gears a little bit, and I want to talk to you about a relatively new phenomenon that's occurring in our world. It's called esports. Now, some might shudder at the thought of calling electronic gaming a sport, but in 2020, it's become a $1 billion a year market. The wealthiest esport player has an estimated worth of $17 million. Please talk to us a little bit about esports and how it might or might not fit into a traditional sport management paradigm.
I'm glad you did the research, by the way. That's great stuff there, because it's incredible what is happening when you see with esports. We teach a class in sport and society, and I know all three of us have taught at one stage. Mm-hmm. The first lessons before I ever get into anything is what is sport to begin with, right? And we begin into maybe some discussions about when mixed martial arts was coming along, and it got quite a bit of money. It was no longer street fighting. It was considered, an organized event. And of course, wrestling always gets that debate. We like to fight about NASCAR because we're not really, exercising in this particular case. And then I think for me, where it started really getting pushed towards, okay, people are sitting down and are they participating? Was when ESPN started covering poker, right? So this isn't entirely brand new, but with the esport thing, which is really a different paradigm, is that there is some other research has been on there. Besides, you mentioned the $17 million elite athlete. Esport athletes actually practice where a parent may be looking at their kid playing video games. Get off the video game machine. They look at about 3 to 10 hours a day. A esport athlete will make, they say, somewhere between 500 and 600 action moves per minute. Now, once again, we're not talking about running or jumping, but we're talking about action moves. Your brain has to see something, make a decision. That breaks down to about 10 action moves per second. Okay, so during this pandemic, because my brother was always good at the Rubik's Cube, I said, yeah, let's see if we can learn how to do that quickly. These people are doing these moves with a thought, and then they're saying, okay, I got to do this. So, is it a sport? I know we could probably sit here all day and just debate it. Whether we think it is or not, as you mentioned the numbers, there's also 80 college teams right now, right? 22 of them are offering scholarships. Don't want to mention one of our competing programs, but I do know there's a school that's already offering an esport management program, right? So they're devised a whole curriculum around it. So, when I was talking to our marketing people of eCampus, asked where are we going to go through that, and I said it would require curriculum. Maybe offer a special readings topic. So it wouldn't happen right away. One of the things that this pandemic has done, though, is had us rethink a lot of things. And I know my two colleagues have been overseeing, trying to get our students involved in different things for their internship. And that's something we strongly believe in. So if the esport opportunity is there for them, where maybe they don't have to leave their home, I think it's worth exploring. If anything, it is a growing industry. Last note on that is before the pandemic hit, one of my students went to Montreal right on March break and actually traveled. So you look at the things that he did. He spent money to travel. And what did he travel to? He went up to Montreal, spent money on a hotel room, food, restaurants, and an entry fee. And indeed went to an esport tournament. And there were major sponsors. They know who the major sponsors are. They have good sponsorship recall. And they also have sponsorship loyalty. A lot of our sports, traditional sports, don't have that. So it certainly has us doing a lot of rethinking of maybe how we approach esports from where we maybe were 3 years ago when, like I said, it was something that we yelled at our kids about when they were on playing video games all day.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Dr. Johnson, I'm shifting gears yet again. There's much controversy and differing opinions about athletes kneeling during the national anthem. Can you speak a bit about your thoughts and opinions on this? Because this is a really important topic that keeps coming up, and I'd really just like to know an expert's opinion about what you think about this.
Well, I'm not sure I'm the expert, but I have lived through periods like this since I was in high school. I graduated from high school in 1968 in Greenwood, Mississippi, and that was the same year that the Black Power salute was, where the fists were raised on the podium. So there's always been athletes that have stood up for what was right. So many times, however, the majority population take a different focus on it, and I'm not sure why, but they do. The kneeling, absolutely necessary. And I think Kaepernick got it right the first time. It took people dying and seeing people dying for all of us to take a second look and say, whoa, maybe we are doing something that we shouldn't be doing. Maybe we should make some changes. So it's really important to see our white brothers and sisters now get it. They're supporting Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. But I don't understand why it took so many people dying for people to take the matter seriously. You look at anytime you have a majority population to protest against anything, the majority population changed the narrative. And when Kaepernick took a knee, the narrative was changed that you're disrespecting the flag. Well, I tell my student athletes, especially all the time, you guys and ladies have the power as a group. You can impact change, and you can do it in a big way. As we saw what happened yesterday, I think it was in Minnesota with the NBA, you impact change for a positive reason. And this is what they've done. The WNBA, tennis, all of the sports are now fixating on getting it right this time. And I think Kaepernick and all those that came with him, Muhammad Ali, all of them, they got it right. We just have to, as a society, we just have to open our eyes and make sure that we are doing the right thing, because all of these kids belong to us.
If I could add something in here,
Sure, Joe.
And I think it's, Dr. Johnson answers the question, of course, because it's his lived experience. And he mentioned history, 52 years ago with Smith and Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes point out to my students, I try to point out, is that on the stand there was also a young man from New Zealand who also supported them in their protest.
Exactly.
And he wasn't African American. He was, he was white, and he became friends with them and became a very big proponent for the rest of his life. Kaepernick was 4 years and 1 day ago, I believe, when he first did it. So that's why it was just interesting to see yesterday with the situation with basketball, the NBA. 4 years ago, they tried to switch the focus to, okay, this was about disrespecting the flag. I think now we've kind of decided that, the whole league, literally in a playoff last night.
Yeah.
They called a boycott. I would say it was a strike. It was a player strike. So why you have to study this stuff, because it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part is that it has taken such tragedy for your white brothers and sisters to finally do what is right and shut up and listen, and then take action. That's the whole thing, is the taking action part of this. And it's just senseless that it has had to be death that has caused a reaction rather than proaction. It's been very much reaction, and that's just unfortunate. However, our young folks and our students, I think that we're in a really good position, and we have really good students who are able to be that voice. And just like Dr. Johnson was saying, with the student athletes, the platform in which they have and that's student, Black student, international student, doesn't matter. But the visibility on EKU's campus, that's where we start.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I've got a follow-up question to this, which is maybe a little off topic, but I think it's right on with what we're talking about. Regardless of how you feel about the media, there's one thing that's really incontroversial, and that is that the media has an impact. It conveys information to us, and some people like it, some don't like it, depends on what's being said, etc. I'm curious, a number of years ago when Tim Tebow for University of Florida would kneel in prayer whenever something happened or before something happened, the media kind of went after him a little bit in a negative way. And I'm curious what you think about that kind of kneeling versus the kneeling that we just talked about here, which deals with life and death, obviously. How did you understand that occurrence to be? I mean, was that appropriate, inappropriate? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I would like to respond to that. I don't think that we as individuals have the right to tell someone how to protest. It depends on you and your platform. Tebow, the media may have gone after him, but not like they did Kaepernick. He didn't lose his job. We know some of the dynamics at play there, but it's one of those situations where if you are a minority and you're protesting anything, you're going to get the negatives. He did not. And I think the media has an important role to make sure that we do see some of this stuff. I don't think they're doing it out of the, to make something bigger than it is. They're showing what is really happening. And I think that we finally saw it. I don't think any one of us didn't shed tears when we saw what happened to Floyd. That was, and for him to call out for his mother, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, and in the situation, and I'm not entirely sure if the Tebow situation was always negative. I seem to hear a lot of positive things about him doing that. I always would just have fun with my students. I just always point out Tebow always did it after he got scored a touchdown. I didn't see him doing that when he threw an interception and said, "All right, think about kneeling or something. It's one of the things we do in this field too. We also talk about, First Amendment, which involves media, but also involves, yes, public prayer in school, and when you mix both. So it can be tough subject to talk about, but I think important is to get the dialogue at least going on it rather than shying away. I was fascinated. When Tebow did sign with the New England Patriots. If anything, the press were trying to celebrate it. And are you going to allow him to do it? And Belichick just was almost like, it was boring to him. He just kind of said, yeah, he's a good player. He'll do it. Like very deadpan. And it's amazing how you want to elevate something can be sometimes with the person you're asking, I guess.
Well, I was just going to say, Dr. Adams, something you said earlier really resonates here, and that is that the student athlete or the professional athlete, either one, has a platform. I mean, because they're in the spotlight. They're heroes to a lot of younger people and even some older people. They're heroes. So it's interesting to see how these things are played out with the media's focus on it, whether it's positive spin, negative spin, or neutral spin. It's still interesting that the athlete has such a platform to convey important social and cultural issues in a way that can touch a lot of lives. I just think that's an amazing thing that maybe some athletes don't even understand, that they can have that kind of impact.
I think that you're right, that they may not understand. And then for some athletes, it puts a lot of pressure on them to think that they have to say something. And, you get it from both ends that, oh, he said this, but he was silent on this, or she was active on this and she wasn't on that. And so I think that that's kind of an undue pressure that some athletes have. But you look at the WNBA and you look at the NBA, of 80% of those athletes are African American. And in this situation that we have now with the boycott or with the, of the game, to find that solidarity with those athletes and that voice, I mean, that's what we're talking about today. And not just in sport management, but globally, that's what we are discussing today, and how powerful that voice is, because they're talking about our entertainment. They're talking about, our capital industry and money. They're talking about owners, but if they look at the owners, those owners look different, and those coaches look different than the athletes. And by using that voice, I mean, I feel in my heart that there will be change.
That's the big thing I'm hoping for too, is the change part. I think with the marketing side, it was great. We put Black Lives Matter on the court, but that's a feel-good message, or you ask the league to do it. And yeah, this case, I like the fact that the players very much have said, we're doing this on our own.
Right.
Dr. Johnson, any other last comments about that?
Well, I could probably sit here and talk for hours about it, because I have lived it, most of my life. Well, all of my life, really. I just don't know what to say anymore. I'm just hoping that we see some changes overall. And as I said before, athletes do have a powerful, powerful platform. And I think they should use that for the better of our society. It's not about black or white at this point. It's about doing what's right by all of our kids. And I'm really concerned. I look at where I live, I can see our football players at EKU going to practice. And it's amazing that you see some of these kids and you get to know them. I've seen some of the kids that have decided not to play football again, or not to play basketball, or whatever the sport may be. And they're making some conscious decisions based on a lot of different things. that they cannot continue to go forward because their concerns are not being addressed. And you look at what happened, during the last 5-7 years, especially when the Grambling football players decided they were not going to board a bus to go to Jackson State's homecoming. And that got the attention of what they were, having issues with. And the university started to listen and make some of the changes that needed to be made because it was in their best interest and the student athletes' best interest to be healthy. And they were not asking for a whole lot, just decent equipment that was safe, locker rooms that were clean, just basic things. So I think that we're going to see a lot of more of this. And it's not necessarily going to be protests. It's simply going to be student athletes saying, or student athletes period, or athletes period. We need to make some changes. And these are the changes that we are asking you to consider and move forward from there. Because, 10 years from now, it's going to be some of the athletes' children that are going through the same thing.
Very good. I would love to sit here and be able to talk about this topic and other things related to it the rest of the morning. But for sake of time, I think we need to move on a little bit. But
Okay.
Thank you all three for that insight into that into what's in the news today. I mean, this is a real life issue happening in our culture and in our sports. So I really appreciate your all's perspective on that. Dr. Adams, let me ask you this. Going back to talking about the program and about the courses and those kinds of things, why is it so important for your students to take business courses as part of their course of study? I mean, what kind of jobs do our alums find when they graduate?
Well, the core and the foundation of sport management, that is the business aspect of sport, and so it is imperative that our students have a background within business. Now we house a lot of those business type classes in our department with sport marketing, sport finance, sport law, and so. The whole premise of sport management is to utilize the business part and to relate it into the sporting industry and sports organizations. As far as jobs and as far as professions that our students strive to and their goals are to be and to become, we have everything from, and it's a nice broad area. We have students who obviously want to be coaches and athletic directors, but also there are folks who want to go into compliance, who want to be sport agents in sport marketing, ticket sales, a lot of different media relations and sports information. So the sky's the limit with this degree. And so those business courses just reinforce, the value of supporting what they're going to be doing as far as their professional experience.
Okay, very good. Dr. Cormier, as we wrap up here, I'd like to ask you a question about the sport management program, particularly, and considering all the topics we talked about today, what would you tell a prospective student, somebody who's really uncertain about their degree choice, but a prospective student, about why he or she should major in the field and why take it online?
Okay, well, I'm also going to call on my colleagues to help me out on this one a little bit because I've watched them come in and talk to our kids sometimes, and it's when we're explaining to anybody why they want to do this. It's we always want to make sure they're truly committed. Why I think they should major in it is, first of all, is because you got to have passion no matter what you're doing about life.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Bring a lot of passion, right? The reason why I think our program in particular is just because, as Heather's already just talked about, it's very broad. So what we're able to offer, being able to speak on various issues. I mean, we could have probably gone all morning, my good friend, Dr. Johnson, I hope you never lose your voice. We could have talked all day, right? It's
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well,
that's
Joe, can I say something? I
Sure,
have
absolutely.
quite a few students, and there are so
Yeah.
many students that come in, have no idea what they want to do.
Yeah.
I'm always going to push my discipline, but also find out what their passions are.
Yeah.
And they can find their way in sport management. And you know, as we say here at EKU, you can get it, you can get there from here.
Yeah.
The same thing is true for our program. You can get there from sport management. We have 2 students right now in law school. So it just depends on what an individual will find as a passion, but you can find your way in sport management.
I think, you know, and the question is why take it online? I think really I might have alluded to it earlier. I just said with a lot of our students who are, you know, they working all day, here what you're able to do is you're able to online, you're at least able to take your classes during the evening, weekends, take it at your own pace, but also complement it with some volunteer work. We're not telling you not to also, you know, get some practical experience while you're online, because that's really important. Get the experience and combining it with you know, the business classes that are very important. The one area that I've been kind of, if I could push one more other area that's sometimes out there in the business world, ticket sales, as Heather has noted, is very important. I think what this pandemic might do is a lot of athletic departments are going to be looking for ways to, they're going to have to find some money, you know. Fundraising probably become a new area that I might push students to say, look, this is where if we get a student that's maybe working in a nonprofit, you're there already, right? You're already doing something where you're looking to how to find money. It's going to be a great challenge. My colleagues, anything else you might want to say about selling our awesome program?
I would like to just add, you know, I can honestly say, and I'm probably going to speak for Dr. Johnson as well, because we're kind of in the same boat. I was a little apprehensive about the eCampus delivery whenever we began this major, because all 3 of us love to teach. And, you know, it was something that was unknown. We had become familiar and comfortable with being in the classroom. And when we get both of these gentlemen alluded to passion, well, that's why we do it. Mm-hmm. We love our students. We take a vested interest in our students. And until we all were assured that we were able to do that effectively online, I think that at that point, we are their teachers. We understand them. And if they're in California, if they're in wherever it is, based on our assignments, based on our interaction with them, they get a rich, I think, experience with sport management, even if it is delivered eCampus. It has made me a better teacher. It has made me more passionate about what I do. It's made me become more creative. And I guess that would be the same with these guys. And I don't think that they've lost. I don't think the students have lost anything based on how that they're able, you know, to earn the degree.
Very good. Well, as we wrap up today, this whole sport idea is just a fascinating topic to me. It's a fascinating discipline. It's real time, real life stuff happening right now. And like I said earlier, I could sit here and talk to you all day about different topics. But as we wrap up, let me ask you: is there anything else that you all would like to say as we come to a close here? Any other comments or anything that you wanna express to our listeners here?
Well, I just have one thing to say about the staff over at eCampus. I had some reservations about eCampus, and I tell you, teaching classes online, but I have been amazed at the help and the support that we get. And it's just, that made it so much easier.
Well, good. I'm glad you had a good experience with our team.
I have. And they've had a good experience with me too.
If I
They've
could
had
throw
an
a thought-
experience.
Yeah, I only like to point out when I attend meetings, these eCampus coordinator, I've mentioned, you know, when I come in and I see what the work and passion they put in, they're such an incredible group we have over there.
They are.
So I just enjoy working with them all the time. So you see the passion with how they, you know, reach out to our potential students. They, you know, when they graduate, it's exciting for me, and you know, it's awesome. You know.
Well, I can say this, you all were talking about passion earlier, and you just mentioned it again. Our eCampus staff, including the instructional designers and our enrollment management, our marketing people, they all have a passion to help the student and to help faculty. And I hope that comes through all the time. I mean, we're not perfect and we make mistakes at times, but we hope that the overall experience is good for you all. And this program has really taken off, and we're excited about it. And I've really enjoyed talking with all three of you this morning. And thank you so much for giving up some of your time to share your thoughts and expertise on some really important topics. So thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having us.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for your time.